welcome. We will get right into it. Welcome to the CyberSecurity News and Information Show from LORENMJ. What I'm going to do is first cover listener feedback. I don't have anything official, but I was hanging out in a couple of other channels that are just broadcasting channels, streaming, and learned that they were talking about me. So it was interesting, talking about some of the articles we brought up, even hijacked the chat, and the stream was about something else, but I hijacked the chat with a couple of issues that I brought up. So I really appreciate that. Plus I got 3 new followers. Appreciate that too. Looks like Suicide Chef followed my channel. Monster Depot TV followed my channel, and Zealous Man 1 followed my channel. I appreciate that. Just a few, I don't know if I mentioned Infinity TY, they also followed, and Long Dark Forever, they actually did a host, not a host, but sort of a raid, I guess. So I appreciate that very much. Big Fish as well, thank you so much. So the feedback is nice. It was well received. I was well received, so I appreciate that very much. So what we're going to do now is jump into the news. For the news, I have some interesting developments. Let's first of all talk about this first one. The first one has to do with it just has to do with basically cybersecurity itself, the field. And I appreciated this because here is someone who joined cybersecurity from another field. So let's take a look at this one. It is called, the article is titled, "I Can Keep Even More People Protected, What It's Like We're Moving from Physical Security into Cybersecurity," by Maija Ehlinger. This is from hippopotamus.com. There are a lot of parallels between doing physical security and doing cybersecurity. Investigation-wise, some things are very similar. Evidence handling, things like that are all pretty much the same. So some people move over from different fields. Some people move from law enforcement into cybersecurity. It isn't always just people from computer science that move their way up. It is actually sometimes other fields that they come from. So that's good to know. This one in particular followed a young man named Jordan. He is now one of the newest InfoSec junior analysts of the ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, which is a financial exchange giant headquartered in Atlanta. There they have a place called the City of Refuge, which is an organization that provides health and wellness, housing, vocational training, and youth development in the Atlanta Southwest neighborhoods. So good for them. He moved from Atlanta from New York and took a job as a security guard for the City of Refuge. He asked about the cybersecurity training, and he got interested in it. And a few months later, he's in the field. So the state of Georgia estimates that the cybersecurity arena generates about $5 billion in annual revenue and includes well over 100 different companies founded or headquartered across the state. So good for them. Good for Atlanta. I know Atlanta is sort of a mecca of cybersecurity there, as far as technology too. So I mention this because people pivot from various things, and this is a pivoting from physical security. So I like that. Many people pivot from other things, but physical security don't see very much, so I appreciated that. So it's a good read, so check it out. With that, let's move on to the second. The second one. This one is cybersecurity attack 10 ways any company can tighten up their security efforts for the new year. This was based on various authors, a collection of different ideas from various authors. And I did not like this story. And I'm going to put it in here because I don't like quoting from Forbes, because Forbes just really isn't in the field of cybersecurity. So they're not really a very well-founded, and they dabble in it way too much. And this is why I don't like them dabbling in this, because they'll produce articles like this, and I'm going to go through and critique it. So, and I'm going to be pretty harsh. So let's talk about it. Hey, you can see me. So let's talk about it. So they list 10 things right? That's in the title, 10 things. So let's see if we can count the buzzwords, shall we? All right. So this is 10 things that are just going to be so important that you need to focus on. If you're already in cybersecurity, you should already know these 10, you should already be able to list more than 10 things. But let's see what they list. So 1, restricts access with role-based permissions. Buzzword. And duh. Sorry. Moving on. 2, implement zero trust security. Another buzzword. Another duh. Right? Don't like it. So they're basically just going through what people should already know. Let's keep going. It gets better. So here's number 3, and this was a huge duh. Back up essential data. Do you think it might be important to back up essential data? Well, I don't know. Maybe that's new. Maybe we should focus on that. Well, you can depend on Forbes for letting you know that. Number 4, require 2-factor authentication. Another buzzword. People already should be doing this. Duh. Number 5. This one I'm going to especially pick on because it talks about a security tool that people should already know about, and that's a VPN. Make the use of VPNs mandatory. First of all, it likely already is. You cannot access your internal network at your work without first going through a VPN. So obviously it would be mandatory. Big, major, D-U-H, duh. Number 6, use of a password manager. Oh my goodness, where would we be without Forbes? Oh, I'm so glad they told us to use a password manager because I would never know that because every single other article about security mentions it. Big eye roll. I don't know if you heard my eyes roll, but you could have. Big duh. 7, slim down your tech stack. Tech stack. A little bit of a little bit buzzy, but also a big what? What are you talking about? Let's talk about tech stack. So here is how we define a tech stack. A tech stack is, here's a nice little definition here. A tech stack is a combination of technologies a company uses to build and run an application or project. So say their service that they offer via the web, their main website or whatever, it includes a tech stack. That is all their technologies that line up to be able to make it work. That's a tech stack. So slim down your tech stack. What this means is take your tech stack and remove things that are unnecessary. Kind of a duh, but not too bad. Not too bad, Forbes. Not too bad. Interesting way to put it. I do like it. A little buzzy, but still good. I do like this one in particular. But anyway, the next one I'm going to really pick on because it says consider a confidentiality agreement. Number 8. Consider a confidentiality agreement. Big duh. And consider? Consider? I think you mean already have? Get work to do right now? Make yesterday? Not consider. You get my point. Okay, number 9. Meet regularly with your IT team. Moving on. Change your team's mindset around technology use. Basically, putting together a company-wide policy on acceptable use of technology. Again, anyway, I think we picked them apart enough, right? Let's move on. Tech stack. Tech stack. Tech stack. Tech stack. Tech stack. That's a new buzzword. Tech stack. Tech stack. All right, moving on. This is story 3. Is cybersecurity attack on Brooklyn hospitals disrupts prescriptions for patients. Now, the reason I picked this one, this is from New Jersey News 12. So interesting. Staff there is working pretty hard at doing this. I wanted to mention this because this has to do with the supply chain and the computers that work on things like this. And those were attacked So what it caused, okay? So it caused a delay in prescriptions. Now let me put that into perspective for you anecdotally, okay? I ran into this issue this week, a few days ago, in fact, of a pharmacist, and the pharmacist has 3 letters in their name, and the first one is C, and the last one is S. Do you know the pharmacist? Okay. So a nurse at a doctor's office called them and said, we need to get this medicine renewed. Okay. The pharmacist refused to and was unnecessarily rude about it. A little bit of power play. As in, hey, this is a controlled substance. No. Just because they could. Just because they're under scrutiny and law about this. It doesn't mean you say no. It's just scrutiny. Okay? You just dot the I's, fill out the form, move on. That's what you do. Refuse to do it. Unnecessarily rudely. And she says, the doctor is standing right here. Would you like to talk to them? The pharmacist, after a long pause and a sigh, said, I'll renew it. So, the person got their medicine. Here's the thing about pharmacies right now. Let me give you a concept of what's going on. It's basically Armageddon in the medical field, okay, right now. Everyone is sick. Everyone's kid is sick. And we're about to go into the holidays. Sick. Everyone's going to be visiting everybody. Sick. Everyone's going to be spreading things. Sick. There are no more antibiotics left. There are no more children's antibiotics left right now. Every pharmacy is understaffed and overworked. And every medical field entity is hemorrhaging workers. Stress is very great. Hey, Time Machine 81. Welcome aboard. I'm being a little cynical today. I'm very sorry about that. Kind of negative. I hope it cheers up, but I'm just kind of following the news. So, any case, I also changed the category that I'm in. I'm in science and technology now, not talk shows. I thought maybe that would change. Maybe that'd help. Maybe it'd bring in some users. We're seeing. We're just going to see how it works. I also set up my camera. Hi. I know I'm tiny. You can't see me, but I have a face for radio, so it's a good thing. Promise. All right. Hold on. Let me check one thing. Okay. So we're going to move on to story 4. I don't know if you're having any trouble with pharmacies right now. I hope not. There, Time Machine. I hope you're not having any trouble with pharmacies because, yeah, pharmacies are having a real problem right now. Anyway, let's move on to story. Next story, number 4. All right, this one is, it is dozens of cybersecurity efforts included in this year's US NDAA. We'll get to that. It is by Cynthia Brumfield from CSO Online. Now, you remember just a few articles ago, I talked about Forbes and how I don't like Forbes. Forbes should not talk about cybersecurity. Here is where people should be going if they want to talk about cybersecurity. If they want to read news about cybersecurity, don't go to Forbes. Go here. Okay, CSO Online. They've at least got better writing, and they have more of a history of talking about things in an intelligent way. So we're going to talk about that a little bit here, and we're going to look at what this US NDAA is. Okay, so it's the National Defense Authorization Act. So this is basically the federal government spending money on cybersecurity. So when you see that, NDAA, cybersecurity money spent by the government. Okay, so that's what they vote on, and they say, we need to put a budget here together for cybersecurity, and here's where it goes. This is the law it goes into. Okay, so this is an important article because the government does a whole bunch of research for you for free. So if you own a company, if you're a big CEO, and you don't read this article, you're over there reading Forbes. You're making a huge mistake. You need to be reading this because this is full of information that is very important to you. And the thing I want to really point out is right there. I don't know if you could see it, but it's pointing out a number of how they increased this budget year over year. That's important, because if you're like, I'm the CSO, I am the chief information officer for a company or whatever, I'm the chief of security, what am I thinking for next year? Because, it's almost year end, at least the physical year, calendar year. So what am I thinking? How much am I going to spend next year? What do I need to budget? So right here, ignore the numbers of how many billions of dollars the government spent. Look at the percentage. How much did the government, the US government, with all their research efforts, how much did they decide in percentage to put toward cybersecurity this year? How much did they put forward? Because whatever your budget is, you need to increase by this same percentage. They've already done the research for you. That right there is a huge piece of information that is going to help you. And you can even take this to the rest of your board and use this as proof that you need this increase. Right there is the numbers you need. 10.3% increase. So whatever your budget was last year, 10.3% more is what you need. So it talks about all the way that this is going into funding, and you can read this. This is fine. It's a great read as far as like if you want to know where the money went. But really, I'm just trying to focus in on that percentage, because if you're wondering, I'm a big boss, I'm in cybersecurity, what do I need to do as far as my budget goes? Increase 10%. Right there. Government's done your research for you. That's why I quoted this article. And that's why I like it. All right, let's get cynical again. Sorry, cynical. I love these things that... Oh, back to Forbes, too. Back to Forbes. I love Forbes. Okay. Forbes, again. Top cybersecurity predictions 2023. Hey, we're so good at cybersecurity, we're going to predict the future. And we're Forbes. By Emil Saig. I have no idea how to say that, but there it is. So he did this article, as Forbes staff. He was told to write an article about the prediction of what is going to happen in the future of cybersecurity. Heck, why not? Let's give it a try, right? Now, what do you think they would have done? How do you think they would have written an article like this? Well, here's what you do. You talk about whatever the buzzwords were for last year and add 10%. Big eye roll. Okay. So what do you do? Well, here's what we do. Here are the top things that we predict for the future. Okay? Ignore this guy. He has nothing to do with it. But what do we do? What are the 10 impacts? What do we do? Okay, here they are. Here they are. All right, top cybersecurity predictions. All right, here we go. Let's talk about them one at a time. Okay, this is going to be a big year for SASE. What is SASE? It is Secure Access Service Edge. That means moving all your services, like Netflix, hands out movies, right? Move it all the way to the edge. What's the edge? Well, the edge is the edge of your company. In other words, don't make people come all the way inside your data center to get their stuff. You push it all the way out toward them, right? Push it out toward them. The idea there being you put the resources they're asking for very close to them. So it's quick. That's all it's saying. That's all SaaS is. We already do that. And buzzword. That is dumb. That is a dumb thing to say. We need to do this in the future. This is our top cybersecurity predictions. People are going to do that. We already do it. Netflix already knows this, as well as everybody else, including YouTube and everybody else. Duh. Here's another one. And yes, again, we're going to see this word a lot. And we already have last year. Big buzzword, big duh, zero trust adoption. People are going to adopt zero trust. Well, we've been pushing it for years, so maybe they should. Big eye roll. Duh. Moving on. There's going to be a rise in ransomware. Duh. Duh. Okay. 4. Let's just move on. So it's just not worth focusing in on because it's so stupid to mention. Thank you, Forbes. Oh, I don't know what I'd do without you. Okay, cyber regulations and the effect of cyber insurance. Now, this one is kind of interesting. Insurance. companies pay insurance for cybersecurity. Insurance companies, they look at everything and say, hey, if it's physical, if it's virtual, I don't care what it is, I'll insure it for you. Because you will hand me money, I'll take it. Here's the problem, is they insured for cybersecurity, and they didn't know what they were doing. So they said, oh, sure, we're insure you. Oh, $1 million, heck, no problem. We'll make it real cheap. And then they had to start paying through the nose on those insurance policies because people were getting hacked, and it cost a huge amount of money. So what did the insurance companies do? We didn't really think about this too well. Let's quadruple or more our costs, the price of our insurance. Finally, they're coming around and they're getting it. And so now companies are forced to look at that and say, okay, our cybersecurity insurance went up by 4 times. What can we do? What can we do to reduce the cost on cybersecurity insurance? Good call. Let's think about it. So they're saying that that's going to happen. That's actually a good call. Good for you, Forbes. You got one right. You got one at least I like. A major crypto event is going to occur. Oh, we missed one. Number 5. Space and airline hacks. This one's a little out there. I mean, come on. Just because we blasted SpaceX and Elon out last year, it means this year we're going to blast a few more and people are going to hack onto it? Not yet. Not yet. Not 2023. Okay, not. We're just not there yet. But good for you for trying. 6. A major crypto event. We already had them. We had one last year. We had one the year before. Of course one's going to happen. Big duh. Yeah, big duh. Already happened. Oh my. Will it happen again? Yes, it will. Okay, back to bad one. Back to a bad one again, Forbes. No thank you. Okay. Arresting insider threats. So people have figured out in cybersecurity that a lot of hacks happen because of internal security being bad. In other words, insider threat. Insider threat is 2 things. A person could make mistakes and open up things. In other words, they didn't configure something correctly, and it opened up to the world, and now you can go ahead and download all of my user data. That's bad. That's because of a mistake, right? Human error. But there's also people that are paid on the inside by people that are bad actors on the outside. They're paid not to make a mistake, but to open something up for you. You can imagine maybe a spy sent into Apple just with the purpose of putting something in their phone for them so that they can open it up a little, put a bug in, or being able to do something. So they're saying we're going to see an increase in that. That's actually pretty clever. So another good one, Forbes. I'll put a maybe on this one. I'll put a pin in it and say maybe, okay? Not bad. Not bad. But we quickly go back to the bad again because there's a growing threat in 5G and APIs. Okay, 5G and APIs have nothing to do with each other. 5G is the speed of mobile. That's it. It's a technology that your mobile uses. That's it. APIs is a technology that any service uses to access data. So 5G and APIs have nothing to do with each other. APIs are already a primary target of hackers. So why are you saying there's a growing threat in APIs? Of course it's growing. It's easy pickings. It's the low-hanging fruit. They attack it all the time. And 5G? Well, of course they're going to attack 5G. It's already here. It's a technology. We attack everything that's new. So super big duh. And it was stupid to mention this. Buzzwordish. Buzzword and duh. So there's my hashtags on that. Buzzword, duh. All right, number 9. Big breaches, big fines. Duh. Moving on. Flight from point products. What? Flight from point products. Never heard of it before this article. Never heard of it. So what this is that people try to build their cybersecurity tool sets. And in these tool sets, they put a whole bunch of tools. They may grab antivirus from somebody. They may grab a firewall from somebody else. They may grab a VPN product from someone else. They may hire a contractor to do scans. So they've got all these people in place and all these contracts in place. All this means, this flight from point products means, is they're drawing that all under one umbrella and saying you need to go with one vendor. Don't go to all these other vendors and do everything with everybody. You need to simplify. So they're looking for simplification in cybersecurity. So I don't like the buzzwordiness of this, but not a bad idea, okay? So this isn't a duh, but it's, we're getting there. We're getting there. And 11, this is really, really stupid. Linux won't be immune. No one ever says that Linux is immune from anything. In fact, they're a primary target, and everyone knows it. Now, I have heard some people say that people say, so hear me right here. Some people say that people say. You get that? Some people say that people say that Macs are not hackable. No one really says that, but some people say that people say that. In other words, only a dummy thinks that they're protected just because they got a special operating system. Only a dummy. Nobody that's a Mac user that is a cybersecurity analyst is ever going to say, oh, I use a Mac because we're protected. No one says that. Only idiots would say that. No one is saying that. Linux is the same. Why would anyone that runs Linux say, oh, we're always protected? You're a primary target. That is dumb. Granted, they don't have the same market share as Microsoft. But still, don't be stupid. They are a major product that is attacked. 12. Onward, state-sponsored mayhem. We already have state-sponsored mayhem. The problem is attribution. That's what they always say. Attribution's a problem. Attribution is where you take this mayhem and you pin it on a country. You say, hey, Afghanistan did that. Hey, Russia did that. Hey, North Korea did that. So, kind of a big duh, but also prove it. That's the problem. Prove it. Can you prove it? All they do is they take these little tool sets they find and they say, well, this came from Russia. That tool set. Anybody can take any tool set and use it. Just because the tool set came from Russia doesn't mean the hack was from Russians. So, with that, I think, yes, it gets the duh. It gets the duh sign, but it also gets the prove it. Excuse me. Why don't you focus on something that's really important? Like, okay, yes, we have state-sponsored mayhem, but we're going to try to figure out how. That would be important. All right, let's go to the next article, because that was fun. Story number 6 is Cybersecurity Outlook in 2023. Again, we get to do this. I love it. We get to poke at the future. Hey, it's December, so we're poking at the future, right? It's our annual, we'll call it an annual look ahead. We'll do this every December. How about we do that? So here's the trends that are going to happen. And yes, we're going to see the same buzzwords because we like buzzwords. This one is Cybersecurity Outlook 2023 Consultant Cite 6 Trends by TechTarget.com. So number 1 is an increased C-level board focus. So the idea is that we find CEOs and CFOs and CSOs. We already find them when their security is easily breached. We find them. We find them personally, right? So they could do jail time. So we already are growing that way. So that is actually not a bad trend to see in the future. So that one, an interesting twist. Number 2, it's starting to read like Forbes. Okay. Number 2, transformation as a zero trust on-ramp. Oh, we've heard that before, haven't we? Just in the last trend article. Zero trust. So, duh. Buzzword. Moving on. Number 3, this one is a special poke. I especially hate this one, and I'll tell you why. It says, focus on user training and protection technologies. That's what we need to do in the future. That's what we need to focus on. We already do it, right? You already have cybersecurity training. You already have to go through things, right? As if you get hired onto someplace, you have to go through training, right? If you hand you an email account, they're going to hand you a video you have to watch on not falling for phishing, right? You already have that. It's already here. The whole point of putting this in this article, the whole point of it, here's my little twist on this, is what I think they did this for. Right here, you'll see a link to an article about a company called KnowBe4. They're big in the cybersecurity training arena. So they made up this whole piece right here just to plug KnowBe4. I wouldn't be surprised if KnowBe4 did a little bit of help in writing this article. That right there was only to plug that company. Just my thoughts. Can I really prove it? No. But I'll bet they had something to do with it. Number 4, industry taps ML to bolster security. ML is machine learning. So AI, right? It's already here. We already do it. Any product that you buy, the cybersecurity product that does things like event correlation, already has it and already has had it for 5 years. Duh. Moving on. Buzzword 2, ML. ML's buzzword. Machine learning. 5, upgrading security as hybrid work's become permanent. Ever since hybrid work has become a thing, like the onset of COVID, and everybody went home to work, right there is where it became new. So if you were a year before that and you said this, you'd be smart. But here we are 3 years later, you are not smart for saying it. Okay? It's already happened. So why are you saying this? Makes no sense. Last one. Tighter security enters the software supply chain. It is kind of interesting because this one thing points out an interesting piece. So let me put it this way. You can expect to see cybersecurity becoming more important at the root of the supply chain, because increasingly attackers are putting hacks in, or doors in, or ransomware in very early in the supply chain, so that it sits there and waits until it can move 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 pieces down the supply chain. Then it activates. That is actually compelling. So that's something to think about. That is where you analyze all your previous, like if you're a manufacturer and you've had to get all these elements, and one of the elements came from maybe China or Korea, so it came in, you need to analyze everything about that, because that could be an in for a cybersecurity problem, for a virus or ransomware. That could be an in, and it could sit there dormant for 6 months, a year, and then way down the supply chain, you've now got a hack of the entire field of medical field or something like that. That's actually engaging. That one is an interesting one right there. So that's pretty much the only redeeming part of this article, is that one little piece right there. And no buzzword. How about that? Cool. Well, Supply chain. Supply chain a buzzword? It's almost... I think it could be. It could be a buzzword. Because you've heard it a lot, right? Supply chain. Supply chain. Supply chain. It's like hashtag. Hashtag. Let's move on, shall we? All right. Cybersecurity experts uncover inner workings of destructive Azov ransomware by Alicia Sikirska from Yahoo Finance. Oddly enough, I don't think I've ever quoted them. So this one, so last week, the security firm called ESET, which is a respected security firm, they disclosed that they've seen a data wiper. Data wiper just is something you download, it's malware, and it wipes your system out. It doesn't encrypt it, it just wipes it. And it's called Fantasy. So it spreads through supply chain attacks. It came from in Israel. And it's in the diamond industry, right? So a lot of money there, right? In the supply chain. So it amounts to a direct attack and another way of long-term exploiting. In other words, I put the exploit in now, I don't see the benefits of it for a year, maybe 2 years. So again, this is also the same thing. It's putting something early in the supply chain that later you'll benefit from. So that is applying an extremely intelligent model to hackers. So they're getting increasingly more intelligent. So that is the disturbing thing about that article. It was a good read. It was a good read. Very interesting, kind of mind-opening, you know. So let's go with our last story. This one is this isn't the last story. Second to last. Number 8. It says Sobeys cybersecurity breach brings $25 million net earnings hit. This is also from Yahoo Finance. Wow. 2 from Yahoo. Wow, that's cool. Okay, so what happened here? Well, it has to do with I messed up. The previous article was called Cybersecurity Experts Uncover Inner Workings of Destructive Azov Ransomware, and that was from thehackernews.com. I messed that up. All the rest of my comments were right. It was just from the Hacker News. This one is from Yahoo Finance. I got my notes a little messed up. I'm sorry about that. So Sobeys cybersecurity breach brings $25 million net earnings hit. So, the investors are upset about it. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to read this part I highlighted here. It says Empire, the second largest grocery chain owner in Canada that operates Sobeys, Freshco, IGA, Farm Boy, and Safeway. They confirmed Thursday that the IT systems issue began on November 4th was caused by a cybersecurity event. The company did not provide additional details. We don't know if it was ransomware, because they're not saying. In the US, you're supposed to say, but I guess in Canada you don't have to. However, it revealed a result of $25 million hit to their bottom line. That right there is what cybersecurity is all about, reducing that. If you had proper cybersecurity implemented, that would not be $25 million. People make mistakes, and there are holes in cybersecurity. But when it comes to be a $25 million hit, you did not spend enough on cybersecurity. You do not have the right people in your cybersecurity. So this is one of those things where I would be looking through the company and saying, not how can we reduce this in the future? What we should be saying is, why did this happen this year? Didn't we pick people for cybersecurity? Didn't we have people that we hired? Where are they? Did they show up to work? That's the problem. All right, let's go to this last one. This is happening all over, but I just picked this one article that came from a news place, KCRG that's News 9, I guess, in Iowa. So I just picked this one. It's happening all over, though, including the state I live in. But I didn't want to pick my state. So this happened in Iowa. What's happening is that across the board, governmental authorities like state institutions are banning TikTok. So if you have a phone or a phone service that's paid for through your employer, and your employer is the state, then you can't have TikTok. You will find that if they don't delete it off your phone, it will not work. So if you can run it, if you can open it and it's still there, it won't run. It won't connect. It won't be able to connect. It'll be useless. We brought this up at our place too, and legal counsel had already commented on it. IT had already commented on it. CyberSecurity department already commented. We already went through this, and here's the problem. So we found reasons to ban TikTok, right? Why didn't we find reasons to ban Facebook whenever that was a problem? Because we don't. We don't ban Facebook. We don't ban Twitter, even though we had problems on Twitter, right? We had problems on Twitter, we didn't ban it. We had problems on Facebook, we didn't ban it. But we have problems on TikTok. What's the difference? Well, the difference is where TikTok comes from, right? It comes from a company that is a Chinese company. So it's an app that's owned by a Chinese company. And even though they've brought the person that manages the US side of TikTok, and they brought him into a room, and that person swears that all of the data that is collected from US citizens about the US installations on US phones and US devices of TikTok all stay in the United States on servers here. And they didn't talk any more about it. They basically called this person, they didn't say anything to the person, but they acted as if that person just lied to them, which I think is a good call, because companies lie, and this company is known to lie and can lie. So they basically, just because of that, decided to ban them. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Someone in our we have a meeting where IT basically discusses the changes that IT is doing with the rest of the organization. So we had that discussion, and this came up. It says we now, because of our governors, we have to ban TikTok. So TikTok will no longer work. It'll no longer work in our businesses, in our on any building that we own, and anywhere anywhere we control things. It's not going to work. It won't work. You can't get to it. It'll be a firewall change. So what was brought up is that people started immediately bringing up, hey, you can't do that, and that's freedom of speech, and we use TikTok to advertise. We do recruiting through TikTok, advertising through TikTok. So how can you do this? So the immediate answer was, we already went through legal counsel, we already went through IT, the governor says to do it, we're doing it. And that was it. Discussion was closed. I imagine that person's going to bring up something later. I imagine there could be some legal action, possibly, in the future. In other words, that's what I predict. Like in the next few days, is that people are going to say, you can't do that. You need to turn that off, and you can't ban it, and we need it. So I'm kind of expecting a little backlash from this. That's my prediction. But it's not going to be like next year. It's going to be now. There's going to be backlash now. So we'll see, right? That's my prediction. That's just my thing, doing a Forbes thing. I want to predict the future. So anyway, in a few weeks, yeah, it could be. Hey, maybe sooner than that. You know how legislation goes, and you know how happy people are to drag somebody into court, right? So, it could be sooner. All right, with that, that ends our cybersecurity news part. Once again, I did not have anything prepared to do the how-to instructional. I apologize. We will do that. We will start that up, I hope, next week. I'm hoping. So more cybersecurity education next week. Probably what we'll talk about is... oh, hey, thanks for the follow. Wubsy TV. Thanks so much. That was 25 minutes ago. I'm so sorry. I couldn't see that little part there because it was like... like covered up by a window. I'm sorry about that. I didn't see that. I need to straighten out my little area here. I'm still new. Sorry. Yeah. Hey. Hi. Nice wave. Cool. So we're gonna do the how-to instructional part next time. What I'm doing with the how-to instructional. Put my face back up. Sorry. My face is gone. There's my face. Okay. So the how-to instructional part, what I try to do there is I try to cover a piece of the security domains. There's like, depending on who you ask, there's 8 or 10. So what I do is I take one of those 8 or 10 and I focus in on them. And up to now, for the last 8 episodes, 7 episodes actually, I've been focusing in on number 1. The first one, which is risk security and risk analysis. So I've been focusing in on that. We've covered it pretty well. We've picked pieces of it and like dissected them. What I'm going to do is probably going to move on to 2. So it takes a little time because I have to do a lot of research and I have to make sure I've got all the little parts lined out. So yeah, I apologize about that. I'm going to get that started pretty quick, but usually I spend about 10 minutes on it. So that 10 minutes is just cut out this week. Sorry about that. With that, ends with the last part of my show, which is what I do as a website or tool of the week. So let's talk about what I've got prepared for you today. And I'm going to put this back up. Give me one sec. Ta-da! Okay, I'm going to talk about this website. It's called Wolfram Alpha. Boy, I'm sure I messed that up. WolframAlpha.com. WolframAlpha.com. So what this is it, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but what it is it takes you back, right? It's been around a while, right? It's been around a while. But the thing is what you were using in high school to do, you can still do, right? So think about this. It's not just like I'm sure like what you're talking about when you're cheating in high school. What you're talking about is you're going to algebra, right? And you're like putting in the formula just to make sure you got it right, because it breaks down how you need to solve it. So it does it for you. So it kind of shows your work for you that you're supposed to work. So yeah, I get it, right? That's probably what you were doing. But here's the thing: is it's good for more than that, right? This is what the internet used to be when you went to a place like Yahoo.com a long time ago, like decades ago. When you went to Yahoo.com, this is what it looked like. This is what Yahoo looked like. It was a breakdown of different categories of websites that you could go to, and you could actually explore them. Instead of searching, instead of just typing in a few words and searching, instead of doing that, you went through a tree, like a tree of knowledge, like what do you want to study? What do you want to look at? Science and culture? You want to look at health? What do you want to look at? And then you kind of went to a website. You eventually got to a website at the end of that, and then or a set of websites, and then you could explore those websites. Since then, things changed, and we went to this idea of searching, right? And that changed the world, right, at that time. So that you just type a few words in, and bam, you had a bunch of websites to explore based on your search, right? Here they went back to the old, right? They went back to the old. They kept it as just a tree of knowledge that you can kind of explore. And it is actually very helpful. So think about maybe there's something you just don't understand, a person that doesn't understand, but yet they need to know. For example, I had something lined out here. Let's do credit card interest, right? Credit card interest. That could be something that a person knows very well, or it could be something like, I kind of know it, right? I don't really know it, but I kind of know it. In other words, if you're watching TV and they do something on credit card interest, and you kind of like, yeah, I've heard of that. But how does it really work? if you wanted to get into the science of it, go here. Type in credit card interest. It uses the natural language to figure out what you're talking about. And what it does is it goes straight to it. Like there's no website. Not taking you to a website that could be sketchy or could be full of ads. Don't do that. What it's doing is it's helping you do what credit card interest is. It's helping you walk through it, which is cool, right? So right here, right away, like that, you can put in what you think, what you've got as far like the problem that you're sitting there with that made you think of credit card interest. You're like looking at a credit card, man, it's really getting high. What if I did something like I stopped using it and I tried paying it off as quick as possible? Well, how could I do that? What would I do? So right here is where you do it. Let's say you racked up $1,500 on Amazon, right? And you're like, I've got to pay that off in 6 months. I got to pay it off in 6 months. What's the interest rate? It's 18.67. Okay. Let's put your interest rate in there and say, how can I do it? What will that cause? How much do I need to pay? Here it is. So you owe $1,500. You're going to pay it off in 6 months at that interest rate. Here is monthly what you need to pay right here to get it gone, right? $263.79 per month. In exactly 12 months, it's gone. Over that 12 month, you've paid $82.73 in interest. And a total, you've paid $1,582.73. Here's a graph of it. And if you wanted to change things a little bit, like say you didn't want to do 6 months, you wanted to do 7, or if you wanted to do longer and say, man, I can't afford $263, I can only afford $75. Well, it's going to take you 25 payments. And you're going to pay more interest. Way more interest. So, and this is just like an example of something like, hey, you were thinking about it, and you need to solve this problem, and here is a way to do it. So, isn't that cool? Like, it's just something you just never would think about as far as like, how can I solve this problem? So I found this tool very helpful. Another things you can look at is like personal health. It's got personal health as far as like the ingredients of food and things like calorie and resting rate, all of the little science that you'd like to have, all right here at your fingertips. With that is the last part of my show. This is a tool that I've always found interesting, and I found it very helpful and pretty much free of ads. So it's kind of helpful. I like it. With that, I'm going to go ahead and end. So I appreciate you hanging out. Thanks for coming and chatting with me. And also thanks for the follow, Wubsy TV. Appreciate it very much. And we'll see you all later, okay?